Bleav in Iowa State podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Carter.
I'm your host, Cody Vancillo.
Unfortunately, Cody, we lost again. Um, it was fun to see in person at Arrowhead, but man, did our defense struggle.
Yeah, it was a struggle after the first drive. I think Kansas just we knew that Kansas had an explosive offense and they used it to the fullest extent and they were getting just about anything they wanted against our defense and just not a great day all around for our defense. Although I will say offense looked much better. They did find a rhythm of some sort, even though they had a couple drives where they only got like one first down out of three drives. I Bleav it was a three drive sequence where it was three and out, one first down, three and out. But outside of that, I think our offense found something to build upon here.
Yeah, I think the times where this offense has been best is when they play up tempo. I realize that that's when they are at their best, and hey, maybe like we were saying like a few games ago, if the running game isn't working, because I just still feel like they're still hell bent on trying to establish the run when the pass has been working for you. And Jalen was able to get past the secondary. I believe on the pass before the interception, Carson Brown was wide open on that one pass. But this is stuff you learn from, and these are growing pains of being a first year offensive coordinator like Taylor Mauser.
Yeah, and something about that, yeah, I wanted to express this he's not gonna be perfect, but I think just seeing some of the things, yeah, he's gonna learn from these games. But this was a bit. He called this game much better than he did against Texas Tech last week, and even
Definitely.
UCF. I think he called the right plays. It just unfortunately came down to execution, and the team was not able to execute. But that's a good sign for Mauser.
Definitely, yeah. And just and the genius of his play calling was just the way that sort of pop pass was set up in the red zone to Steve Klotz. I'm like that was just beautiful. That was beautifully called, and I was like, oh man, if we only would have just hit that. And then there were just certain other things in the game, and I will say that um yeah, you got to keep Carson in there, man. He was running hard, and you
Mhm.
just saw on that first drive. We were able to go down 99 yards just like that.
Yeah, I think that's something I think that should be adjusted. I think we've realized that we operate better as like a two back system. Like I'd love having the three backs, but I think having two backs just gives you a little more offensive rhythm. And I would because Jalen Jackson hasn't been great,
Right.
and Abu Sama has stepped up here in the last couple of games. I mean, obviously Texas Tech, he was our best rusher, and then obviously the UCF game, he was a piece of us coming back against the Knights. So I think Abu Sama has found some form here late in the year, and it's very great to see. So I think maybe from here on out, this is my opinion, you adopt more of a two-back system. You just have Sama as maybe more of a downhill run through type of thing. And I think Hanson, they're kind of the same thing, but I think you can go outside, maybe, or am I getting it wrong? Maybe Sama's more like the outside type of runner, and Hanson's more
Mm-hmm.
downhill. So
Right.
I think just having those being your main backs would be great. And then you can even put him out in the slot as well, because we saw from time to time they would go on the slot. They could be like a great quick pass. And I mean, that's just an extension of the run game that I think we weren't really utilizing enough throughout the year. And I think it's something that we would like to, I would like to see more out of this offense is get your backs out and get a quick pass going, because some of the routes that were ran throughout the game, they took too long to develop, and that resulted in Rocco Beck being constantly under pressure, getting sacked a few times. So it's just those long developing routes. They need to adjust that and have more quick routes that so Rock can get the ball out fast and get it to your playmakers quicker.
Completely agree, man. He has to get the ball out, bro. You like because every time a route was developing, it's just because Rocco was anticipating getting hit. Like we just gotta start making these short dump off passes. Maybe do a little bit develop a screen game, something like that. Because I believe we ran those a lot in the Tech game, and those worked a lot. Um, Now defensively, I mean, um, yeah, like it we can it's unacceptable, and people will call this excuses, but like the defense right now is just the walking wounded right now. Like we basically have no depth at linebacker anymore. Like it's unreal how we've been bitten with the injury bug, and then we don't, and then Verdon got hurt again, so we don't know how long he's out for. And I feel like at this point we should look into maybe doing like a four-man front, or maybe running like a base defense, because running the 3-3-5 is, and then having an inexperienced guy in there running that type of scheme, and because we got burned on like the same play like 5 times, bro.
Yeah, I mean that just came down to again that injury to Malik Verdon. Unfortunately, you had Smith in the game, and there was just he like the guy simply didn't know what he was like he could do because that's like his first like start. He got thrown into the wolves and against a very potent offense like Kansas. Their record does not say they're good, but they're better than their record, and it certainly showed because they're a mirror to the 2022 Iowa State Cyclones team, who were in games but just were never able to get over the hump and finish out those games with a win. But Kansas just they had a really great day. This was like a get right game for them, and just having like those injuries at the secondary really, I think, just really set a bad tone. I mean, Dom Orange was out as well, if I'm not mistaken. He wasn't in the game either,
Hmm.
so you didn't get any didn't get any penetration on the O line, and then or on the D line, and then again, you mentioned Verdon being out. You put in like what a first year, like first time starter, and running like certain defensive schemes. That's gonna be difficult because like the the young guys don't know as much to do in the certain situations as the experienced guys. So it clearly showed.
Yeah, I mean, this would be an amazing time to have a player like a Drew Surges who came on last year, but I'm guessing that he's injured too. But yeah, man, I feel like, but because the good thing is that like yeah, this team is always willing to make adjustments. So one thing that we don't have to worry about is that this team is making adjustments. There, I like, you know, and I will say, even though it wasn't a the result that we wanted, dude, Cody, it was live down there. Like the traffic down there was crazy on the way down to KC, and the Cyclone fans showed out, man. I really wish you were there.
Yeah, I mean, from what I saw, yeah, a lot of soccer fans. I think some people were saying it was like a 2-to-1 ratio between the Kansas fans and the Iowa State fans. And I mean, yeah, obviously you didn't get the result you wanted, but I mean, you're still passionate about your team at the end of the day and things like that. It just shows you just how much these fans like care about their teams, and it just shows just how loyal we are and just us continuing to be one of the best fan bases around the country. And I kind of want to continue on that thing,
Yeah,
football wise. I still hope like the fans will show out. I know it's been a struggle the last few games, but Cincinnati, they're coming off a loss against West Virginia, so I'm hoping people like will show out in full force against Cincinnati because just as much as the team does that they need this win to kind of really keep themselves in the Big 12 title race, and I think the fans know that too. So just got to put
right.
this game behind you, and you just got to support the team on Saturday.
Well, that's the thing. Like hope isn't all lost. Like we still are alive. Like these next two games, and I mean, this is sort of a weird way to look at it, but I mean, now that Iowa State's unranked, this is usually when Iowa State teams are at their best, is when they're taken for granted. Um, so like, yeah, they're 7-2, they're unranked, but hey, you can wipe the slate clean, win these next two games, and then it sets up for a huge game against K State for Farmageddon.
Hmm. Yeah, and just yeah, very. I'm still hopeful at the end of it. Like regardless of happens, like these things are gonna happen, and there's still a lot of games left. I mean, Iowa State, even after these two losses, like we're only a game behind for second in the Big 12. I mean,
Hmm.
Colorado has managed to sneak up their way into the second place spot in the Big 12, but there's still a lot of football to go, and I think there's still a few games left for Colorado that they're gonna have to get through. Now I know for sure they got through Texas Tech, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna try to pull up the Big 12 slate here.
Sure.
I mean, the Big 12 still it's chaotic. This is what you expect. That this was just
Right.
basically like this week was like the epitome of chaos in the Big 12. Now that's this week's slate, but last week, let's go here. Yeah, I mean BYU got pushed to the brink against Utah. I mean Utah was up 21-10 at halftime, and I mean BYU's credit, they fought back, so that just shows that they are still like the premier team in the conference.
Yeah.
And Colorado, they got tested by Texas Tech for a little bit. They got tested, but were ultimately able to pull away. West Virginia and Cincinnati were that was a bit of a back and forth game, and I could say the same thing about Arizona State and UCF, and then TCU and Oklahoma State. TCU just they're finding form. They're sneaking in as well. And if let's just use Iowa State for example here. You look at the standings here. It's a mosh pit still in the Big 12 with those teams that have
Definitely.
at least four wins in conference play. So that second place spot is going to be up for grabs between one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, five to seven teams, perhaps.
I mean, and Cody, you look at this. The fourth and the fifth place teams play this week in Manhattan. So basically, I mean, you see K State. I mean, everybody thinks K State's going to win, but I say not so fast, my friend. The Arizona State's pesky, man. I mean, and they're coming. Like
Yeah.
this is what an amazing. I feel like Kenny Dillingham should definitely be talked about as Big 12 coach of the year.
hmm I mean, when you talk about Arizona State, the big key you got to talk to Cam Scatterbo. That dude continues to be
Mm-hmm.
one of the best running backs in the Big 12, and I mean, yeah, Arizona State, K State. I think not enough people I think people wrote off Arizona State so fast. I mean, they're 4-2. They're a game out. I think just a couple weeks ago they were writing them off, but like they people were acting like it's not up. No, Arizona State's sustained winning, and I mean, yeah, that's going to be a huge game, and I think that's basically a playoff game in the Big 12 because whoever loses this game will have three losses in conference play, and I think it's going to be very tough to slide yourself back into the race.
Yeah, definitely, and I think when you have a quarterback like Sam Levitt, who has been a steadying force for the Sun Devils this year, that it makes the run game a whole lot better and makes that a lot more dangerous. Um, let's look at the National slate because there were a lot of good games this past year, and there were a lot of upsets too.
hmm Yeah, I mean, let's see here, the load, but yeah, I mean, you started with some action. I, I love that. Love when we're seeing some action here on Tuesday. I mean, nothing too crazy here.
Hmm.
I mean, other than Fort Atlantic putting up 49 on East Carolina, it's not as important in the G5 race, but just
Right.
some nice things to note. App State getting the win over Coast Carolina. Some solid wins right there on Thursday.
Hmm.
And then Friday, UCLA beating Iowa. Did you see that coming?
I did not see that coming. Me and my friends, we were at there's this Taco Bell cantina. We were watching the game, and my friends they went to the bars and were heckling Iowa fans. One of my friends played the UCLA fight song, and the Iowa fans got mad. Ah,
I'll say this right now. Something about Iowa teams and playing in the Rose Bowl Stadium doesn't seem to end well for them.
it doesn't at all.
And yeah, um, Rice and Memphis going back and forth, not too shabby. And then on to Saturday. Now this, a lot of things, a lot of chaos happened. Like where do we start?
Man, let's look at the first game. Ole Miss beating Georgia 28-10. I mean, we got to talk about Carson Beck, man. Carson Beck in big games continues to turn the ball over. He is a turnover machine.
hmm Yeah, just not a great outing for Carson Beck once again. And I mean, Ole Miss put a 28, but you see Jackson Dart's name here. But what's crazy about this? I think Jackson Dart was taken out of the game like, mid-game due to injury,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah,
like,
he was taking out game an injury, and the backup took over, and he sustained the lead.
hmm yeah. So I mean, Ole Miss, I think they played spoiler to Georgia's chances of going to the SEC championship and maybe a playoff spot.
Yeah, I believe was it is Georgia has two losses right now.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they're they're 5-2.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, their chances took a hit. Um,
hmm
but it's still a log jam right there with Tennessee leading right now, and let's look at the other game. Let's look at the other 11 o'clock game. Like I said, Cody, they finally went down. Miami was playing with fire and they got burned. Congratulations to the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets for getting bowl eligible. They beat
hmm
Miami 28-23.
Yep, and this is the second year in a row that the Yellow Jackets have beaten the Hurricanes. If you remember, everybody
Jeez.
remembers last year, the Mario Cristobal debacle last year, where instead of kneeling the football to win the game, they run the football, fumbles it, and then they give up a walk-off touchdown.
Mm, that was one of the craziest things. Oh, I didn't even see this. Pitt lost again? Wow.
Yeah, I, I, I didn't even think about this at all. I did not think about Pittsburgh at all, and I mean, yeah, they lost to Virginia, and that puts them behind the eight ball in the ACC. Now you look at the ACC; it's a race between SMU, Clemson, and Miami.
Now, wow, yeah, and SMU is 5-0. This is going to be an interesting finish. Man, now things have made it a lot more interesting. Now we have to look at schedules. They probably have the easiest finish. They got
Yeah,
Boston
Boston.
College, Virginia at a. I will say Virginia. That's going to be that might be a tough game.
hmm Yeah, and then for Clemson, wait,
They're
oh wait,
at
it says
Pitt.
yeah they do play. Okay, so Clemson does play Pitt, so Pitt could play spoiler to Clemson's chances.
Yeah,
And
basically Miami can play their way back into it, and Miami,
yeah, they have Wake Forest and Syracuse, so
yeah, they should be able to win those two games. So they
hmm
should. They I mean, unless Miami has to be probably the biggest Pittsburgh fan. Um, so yeah, but yeah, I didn't even know about that.
no, not at all. Let's see, else around the country, Indiana getting the 20-15 win, and congratulations to the Indiana Hoosier football program. For the first time in program history, they've won 10 regular season games.
Congrats to them. It's just I just man, I am hoping and praying that we get there. Please, 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 please.
I know.
Ah,
That seems to be like the big mark is never winning 10 games. And now, I mean, with Indiana doing it, that narrows the list to just us and Vanderbilt, which is, it's a shame. But, like, I mean, I trust that this team can really do so. I think these two games, like, the two losses are now, like, we got those. Like, now it's time that we truly, like, focus in and to see. Like, I still have hope that we get the 10-win season, could sneak into the Big 12 championship depending on how the Big 12 plays out. But I mean, in the meantime, Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosier squad is just they are balling this year.
bro, they're fun to watch, and just and it seems like okay, everybody like really like they're the game of the season is next week, or is it next week against Ohio State, or is it in
I
two
think
weeks?
it's 2 weeks because
Yeah, they're
Indiana's
on
on the bye
bye.
this week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah, and then Indiana will travel to the shoot. Yeah, the horseshoe to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Yeah, and then let's talk about Missouri. Missouri had to survive OU.
hmm
Man,
I mean, I still don't like Missouri just from being number six, like I think preseason wise in the country to what this is. This has been a disaster year for Mizzou.
Mizzou has been very, very lackluster. I mean, if you look at the escape wins, obviously Vanderbilt is better than what we thought. But that Boston College result, winning close against them is still unacceptable.
Hmm.
Let's see what else. Oh, um, how about Bama going on the road and destroying LSU 42-13?
Yeah, Jalen Milroe, I think, yeah, he alone destroyed the LSU defense. I think it was at 4 rushing touchdowns the other day for Jalen
Mm-hmm.
Milroe.
185 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns.
Hmm. Just ran all over the Tigers, and you could see like by the end of the third, the LSU fans they were just out of it. There was no spirit left. They were leaving the stadium. They were getting in their cars. They were packing up, and honestly, that's I think I don't know if it was Bama themselves, but like somebody had a reference saying like it's always fun to like be playing so well that you get to see the opposing fans just walk out of the stadium.
Mm-hmm. That's when you know. That's when you know you're good. Like,
Hmm.
ah, man.
And I mean, yeah, I mean Alabama is still right in that race for the SEC championship game.
Yeah, they're still. Every time when you think they're dead, they're not. It's Bama. Bama's
Yeah.
basically inevitable. Um, can we talk about something real quick? I have a gripe.
What do we got?
Did you watch the press conference after the Utah game, after the Holy War?
Yeah,
And
I managed to stay up very late to watch that.
yeah, I mean the AD going on there talking about we have enjoyed our time in the Big 12, but now we're not because the refs. You know what? Welcome to the Big 12. And honestly, really, screw you, Utah. Like, you guys have been pompous jerks the entire time you guys have been here saying, you don't want to be here. We don't want to be here. We want to be in the Big Ten or the SEC. Well, you know what? None of those guys are coming for you. So, honestly, if you don't want to be here, leave. All right, that's
The
it.
S the SEC think that you're stretching it there. That they are not SEC material. I think Vanderbilt could be Utah. Let's be real.
I agree.
But
No, they would kill
yeah,
Utah.
the statement, yeah, that I saw, yeah, the AD he did not like handle that well. The big call obviously was that holding on. I think it was 4th and 10, but to me that was the correct call. You can tell where the holding happened. You can see it
Right.
in real like even with like the blur camera, I could tell there was a hole there. So and not even just the hole itself, but I've been seeing like the last couple of days the behavior of Utah fans towards BYU fans. Like Utah just pulled the Texas card and just throwing things onto the field and hitting some cheerleaders for BYU.
So classless, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
and then
this is why we like BYU fans more than you guys.
mhm. And then this is not even just them joining the conference, but from day one of them being considered for the conference. I just got sick of Utah fans just talking about, oh, the Big 12 is a G5 league. This is a stepping stone for us to go to the Big 10. Well, guess what? You did not learn your lesson for when a UCF fan did this exact thing, saying they were going to dominate the Big 12. And I don't think people understand it. It takes time to adapt to a new league. It
Right.
takes time, and Utah learned the hard way. And they can't even use the you can't even use the excuse of Cam Rising because even in the game that he played against Arizona State, he looked bad. You can't even use that excuse
Right.
either. So, and the fact that your wins, I need to take a look at their wins here. Their wins this year were against Southern Utah, whatever, against Baylor, okay, Utah State, eh. And then their only conference win was against Oklahoma State,
Who
who
was the worst team in the Big 12?
are the the worst team in the conference. Like Oklahoma State still does not have a win in conference play.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude. Like I'm so sick of them. Like honestly, like I said, please go back to the Mountain West because
Yeah,
they'll deal with that stuff and they will easily take you back.
yeah. I even said Utah's the new Texas. They sound and act exactly like Texas.
Except with no national championships and half the probably even half the success. But I just it doesn't make any sense to me, man. Do you have any closing thoughts or any other topics you want to talk about?
let's we can talk about
Sure.
basketball because we're now in first
Yes.
regulation of basketball. Don't know if we got to that, but we need to talk about the men's side of things. Now, tonight the men's basketball team will play against Kansas City. That'll be 7 p.m. Central Time on ESPN Plus. Last Monday, they played their first game of the year against Mississippi Valley State, and they won that game convincingly, 83 to 44. So just taking a look here. I'm just taking a look at our team stats. If I could find it. Uh, Keyshawn Gilbert, Taman Lipsey, Joshua Jefferson, Deshaun Jackson, and Curtis Jones were our starters. But let me just pull up the box score here actually so you can see.
Sure.
Pretty decent showing for our guys here. Uh, Keyshawn with 17 points, Taman with 16, Joshua Jefferson and Milan Momcilovic with 10. And I would say, like, out of the newcomers that were here, I was really impressed with Joshua Jefferson and Deshaun. Those were really cool people. And then even Noyes and Drusitis had a pretty decent showing.
I will say that Noyes Andrositis is going to be a fan favorite by the end of the season. And then another observation that I think is going to be key is that we're finally going to have a inside game for like the first time. Like we're not going to have to like for the first time since Royce, we're going to have like an inside presence. And that's really really good to see because for the longest time we usually would have to outscore teams or outgun teams. Now we can just bang inside and like it's gonna be a different type of Iowa State basketball.
hmm Now, granted, this is against lesser competition, but
Sure, sure.
you were able to get, what was it? Yeah, you were able to out offensive rebound the team. And those offensive rebounds tended to give you second chances. And I think this Iowa State team does great in transition and second chance buckets. So seeing us getting those offensive rebounds, that's going to be huge for our team to get those points and to be able to have that interior post. Just have guys that are just willing to throw their mat, like just throw bodies, like willing to just put your body out there, and then having big body presence in the paint
Hmm.
shows just another dimension that we've been missing for the longest of time. So really excited to see this team.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch them tonight, and then just in a few weeks, that I'm really really looking forward to that matchup with Auburn. That's gonna be a huge test for us.
Yeah, I mean Auburn just beat Houston Saturday,
Yeah,
so that'll be fun to watch. Let's go to the women's side of things because they've been active the last week.
yeah, dude. Did you man? Addie Brown had a hell of a game. She had 21, 10 and 4, and she's so underrated, and nobody's even talking about her. That's nuts, man.
hmm I mean, that just shows like the presence of Addie Brown and just what she brings to the table. And now that she's playing more often inside the post, that brings an extra piece into the post that you would have like even if you don't have say Audie Cross or a Lisa Williams. So Addie just brings like an extra dimension. I think Addie Brown can do more than probably those two just because she has a better like shot from mid range and the
Hmm.
perimeter.
Yeah.
So just overall, it's great to see. Yeah, I mean the women have rolled their competitions. Holding teams to 56 or less points. I mean that Indiana State game, they held Indiana State to 14 points in the second half.
Jeez, that is impressive.
hmm I made the joke that I'm thinking, I wonder if Bill Fennelly must have learned something from the T.J. Altenberger School of Basketball. Just
He
learned that
probably
relentlessly.
did. He probably did.
Yeah. So I mean, take a look at their most recent game here. This was yesterday. Just another, yeah, like you mentioned, another great showing by Addie Brown getting that double double. Hey, Audie Crooks also had a double double with 17 points and 11 rebounds.
Yeah.
And Sydney Harris has come on as a solid piece off the bench. She's kind of
Hmm.
reminding a little bit of like Curtis Jones, like that what he was last year, like that sixth man we saw in the second half of the season. That's what
Yeah.
Sydney Harris is looking like right now.
Yeah. I think she's going to be a great piece to what's going to be a fun season for both men's and women's basketball. Um, so make sure Clones fans to tune in. I had to minute. This is we're basically right now in the Iowa State, like basically a trifecta right now with football going on. We got basketball. We got or men's basketball, women's basketball, wrestling is about to start up. And we're also going to be diving more deep into wrestling. So make sure to tune in
Yeah,
for your wrestling content as well.
yeah. Yeah. Speaking on wrestling, Friday they had their first duel of the year, and we had four starters out. So our starters, I think it was Evan Frost, MJ Gatan, Casey Swiderski, and Panero Johnson all were out tonight. Either didn't make weight or they were just resting. And we were going up against the number 20 team in the country in Stanford. Fell by 2 points. Just it was a little unexpected. Like it felt a little disappointing just because we didn't have our starters and we
Right.
shouldn't really need to do that. But I think we're starting to understand more about like why some of those guys didn't wrestle. It sounds like with Evan Frost, he managed to make weight, but Coach Kevin Dresser didn't like the way that Evan was managing his weight throughout the week, so he held him off. And I'm thinking, was it Swiderski or Panero might have been like wrestling or something like that. Maybe the
Hmm.
same thing with Gaetana. Then Younger Bastida, the big heavyweight for Iowa State, he was injured in practice, so he didn't wrestle a heavyweight. But I mean, taking out the negatives, we saw some positives out of this season, out of the duel. I mean, Christian Carroll looked really good. Evan Bachman looks solid. Anthony Echemendia continues to perform well, and then Daniel Herrera is a solid at heavyweight, solid substitute for Younger Bastida.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard a lot of rant and rave about him, about
Hmm
the freshman Herrera. He should be. That looks like he might have a very good freshman season.
Yeah, and then it looks like he'll be a great heavyweight for after Young Bastida graduates from the university. Winning your debut match by tech fall, that's a amazing feat to have and a great way to start your collegiate career.
Definitely. All right. So that is your show today. So we had a mix of. We will basically have a mix of everything. That's basically what it's going to be now, at least until football season's over. We're going to have a mix of football, basketball, and some wrestling, and with a pinch of some wrestling in there. Once again, thank you guys for joining. Thank you for everybody who's watching the live stream on Twitter and the live stream on the Riverside app, once we record this. Um, Make sure to follow us on Twitter. He is at Matt Campbell Impersonator. I am at SciTi Guy. We'll both be found on Twitter at those handles. Make sure to follow our social media pages at Bleav and Iowa State BLEAV on our five different outlets: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok. So for Tyler Carter,
And for Cody Vancia,
this is the Bleav in Iowa State podcast. Roll clones, baby.
let's go State.
Now, so yeah,